off, and then we'll get those answered for you. And yes, we will be recording today's episode. So we'll go ahead and send you over a shareable link. So maybe somebody you know would love to be on tonight, but they couldn't make it. Go ahead and share that link with them and they can get all this content. Super excited to be on. I always learn so much from Dr. Baird. I'm not a dentist myself, but I've been in dental marketing for 6 years. So we always do learn some new things. So, Brandon, thank you so much for having us tonight.
Thank you all for being here tonight. We're super excited to have you here, hosting at the UT Health Science Center's Future Practice Owners Group. So we're super glad to have y'all here tonight. And I'm going to go ahead and introduce this guy here. It's Dr. Bruce Baird. We're super fortunate to have him here tonight. He is a newly retired, about 2 years out dentist. He practiced for about 35 years up in Granbury, Texas. And he's done a whole lot of amazing things in his career. He started one of the Texas implants. What was that? The Texas Implant Centers. He lectures all over the world. He's stays super busy with that. He's regarded as one of the authorities on implants pretty widely. He's developed some techniques, and so we're super excited to have him here and to learn a lot about the business of dentistry and everything that he's learned over his awesome career. So go ahead and take it over.
Thanks, Braden. I appreciate it. I love the fact that this is the Future Practice Owners Group, because that makes a huge difference, and it makes a difference on what we're going to talk about. So I'm going to talk a good bit about being a practice owner. I don't think there's any time too soon to start thinking about that, especially if you're in a group like this. I know I went in the service for 4 years, but I was thinking all along about, once I went in the Army, I was 4 years, and I knew I wanted to own my own practice. So I spent that 4 years really kind of learning some business stuff, but I didn't really learn it until you open the doors, because there really wasn't a real good place you could go to get that kind of education in dentistry. And that's really what kind of started the Productive Dentist Academy almost 17 years ago, was just because there was no place to really get any business acumen. So I'm going to share with you guys several different things tonight. I know I talked last time I was down when we did it in person right before the COVID. I talked about 8 steps to yes and a lot of communication skills and that kind of stuff. But today I'm going to talk about something a little different, more about, everything has to have 8 steps. So 8 steps to team alignment, because you don't really think, like right now, working with assistants, you'd love to have an assistant. You'd love to have somebody help you. I remember, the first day in clinic, you'd be prepping a tooth and you'd want to lean over and blow on the tooth to get the dust out after working on typodonts, so you don't have assistants. But working with people is going to be the thing that is going to make you successful or not successful. And it is the difference. What's the most important thing that we can provide you today? And here are some questions. I can't seem to be consistent. Simply the process of managing others. And most of you haven't had to manage others. But these are the things I want you to be thinking about. And we are recording this so that, after this course and after we go through this, it's A-okay. Go back through it, look at it, and then start to formulate your plan, because you don't want to wait until graduation to do that. I don't like giving feedback. Find ways to make it easier for you, and we'll talk about it. It doesn't matter what I say. Show me how to drive change that matters. I get pulled into personality issues. Trust me, I've been down that road. Give me something so the team gets along better, and they don't seem to care. How do I get beyond this just a job? Because it's not going to be just a job for you. It's going to be your life. But when you hire people that go to work for you, or work with you, I prefer to say, you don't want people there that I'm just here punching a clock. You want to have somebody that's going to go to the next level. And let's look at let's look at some of those things. Gaining control without controlling people. Now, it was real hard for me. I think I told everybody when I was there in February, I was not the best boss in the world. I grew up the son of a Marine aviator. Everything was my way or the highway, until God had a sense of humor and gave me 4 daughters, and I had to learn to speak an entirely different language. So you learning to gain control of your team and gain control of your life without being controlling, and the ability to positively respond to adversity. And that's through goal setting and collaboration, stress management, health. Thriving equals a high resilient team and high performance team. But let's envision. Step 1 is to envision your perfect future. Integrating the philosophy of care. What kind of practice do you want to have? The team expectations and patient experience. This is what we call a patient journey map. And it's something that we put together, a few years ago, because it really does define the patient experience as they come into your office. The community presence. How easy are you to find in the community? How do you connect with your community? I know I was knocking on doors. I was meeting people at church. I'm the new dentist, and I was meeting other dentists. How did I give back to the community? Got involved in Relay for Life, and I was in Kiwanis Club. These are all things that you have to have a community presence. And digital placement, coupon use. I'm not a big coupon guy, but I think that we can help you get to a point where that doesn't have to be a big part of what you're doing. The next thing would be attraction strategies. How do you present your value? How do you appeal to prospects and their needs? And the form fills inbound calls. So you have a community presence, you attract people, and that can be through marketing, what we call authentic marketing, meaning marketing to the things you want to do. And what I will tell you is, you're not going to be sure what it is that you love to do. So initially, you're going to probably want to do bread and butter dentistry across the board, but you're going to have an interest. Some of you will have an interest very quickly and do exactly what you want to do. Others are going to enjoy doing bread and butter for the first 3, 4, 5 years, and then decide, I love doing ortho, or I love doing implants, or I love doing LANAP surgery, or I love doing veneers and new smiles. And so these are the things. How do you attract patients that want the specific things that you have to offer? New patient, how are they handled? Because this is the patient's journey through the practice, how they find out about you, what's your community presence, but how easy you are to find online. Why you, and we help practices all across the United States do that. You handle their first outreach. The front desk is all about taking the call, converting them, and getting them in the chair. Once they get there, you make them feel, how do you make them feel while they're there? And that's huge. I can tell you the most highly productive dentists in the country are the ones who can communicate well. And that's what we talked about in the spring when we were there. Their impression of your competency. People don't really want to know what you know, which a lot of dentists, we're all engineers, and we want to teach them, well, let me show you how we do the filling, and let me show you how to do that. If you're talking to an engineer, that's okay. But most patients don't really want your knowledge. They want your confidence, meaning you're very confident, oh yeah, we do this all the time, boom, boom, boom. And the more you do it, the more confident you're going to become. And testimonials and what we call raving fan scores. So you're going to want to have online reviews, and that's a huge part of today's dental practice. And finally, it comes down to, this is what we call the raving fan. How do patients refer you to you? How do they talk about you in the community? You're providing them online support. It's a place to go, and you're going to be getting referrals on that. The best tools of alignment. What's your vision? What do you want your company, your practice to be about? Why you exist in the first place. Is it because you just want to make a living? Is it because you want to change the lives of patients? Is it because whatever it is, your mission, who and how you plan to serve? These are things you have to start thinking about now. And right now, I know it's hard because you're thinking about for next Monday and Tuesday's test and everything else. But having this as a reference and a back guide, when you get a little extra time on the weekend, you could always have a glass of wine or something like I do, but go through it and start to formulate your ideas and what your standards and your philosophy of care is. Mine, I'll share with you, mine was, and I just did a podcast on it a few weeks ago, Productive Dentist Podcast, but it was about excellence versus perfection. When you're in dental school, oh, the prep has to be perfect, perfect, perfect. Everybody keeps talking about perfect. There's no such thing as perfect. So my goal was to be excellent, meaning every single year I practice, I want to be better than the year before. I want to be doing better work, better preps, better everything. And that was my entire continuing education, was all about being better this year than last year. The values, what are your guiding principles that determine acceptable behavior? And there are non-negotiable behavior expectations. Like, it's real easy to have a patient walk out the door and you're really nice to them, and then when they walk out, you go, man, I can't stand that lady. Well, is that really the kind of value you want to have? And when your team hears that, guess what? They start believing the same thing that you believe. And so to have a successful business, future practice owners, you want to be thinking about these types of things: vision, mission, and values. Activating clarity. And this is something, you go through when you're doing your vision statements, but at Granbury Dental Center, we believe X. Our primary objective is that's your mission. And you can always count on our attention to detail and, getting back with you. At Awesome Dental, we believe your dental health is key to your overall health. Our primary objective is to heal our community. You can always count on our skill, integrity, and caring. That's the example that we put forward. But you'll have your own. It's not going to be mine. It's going to be yours. Step 2, set the expectation. What does success look like? SMART goals provide clarity and the ability to celebrate, and we'll talk a little bit about that. 3 to 5 goals that you're going to have when you first start out. It may be about your raving fans. It may be about your community presence, your clinical excellence, your operational efficiency. Being highly productive has very little to do with doing crowns fast. It has to do, in my opinion, with communicating better and talking with your patients and getting to know them. Step 3 is define the role success. SMART goals provide clarity and the ability to celebrate. But here it is, and you'll have these to look at, and you're going to have to set these job roles. Top 3 items that define success. Might be front office. It might be your chairside or treatment coordinator, your financial coordinator, your office manager. You're going to define that, and you won't know that right now. But this is going to be a template for you. Don't worry about who's in those roles, but what is it you want in these roles? And then when you're hiring, it gives you okay, this is what I'm looking for. Truth is, I trained all the people that are still in my office. One came from Walmart. I trained her. She's an amazing treatment coordinator. Why? I trained her exactly the way I wanted it done, in a healthy way, in a nice way, not the way I would have done it 30 years ago. Although she's been with me 29 years. The other I got from a veterinary clinic. Another one was a massage therapist, but so nice. And I thought, man, I can train these people. And that's what you do. Map the team to roles, clarity. So, what you do is you put the list of names of your employees. And again, this is something, you're not going to have those names, but what roles do you want in your business? And how can we help you accomplish that? How can we, when you're starting to think about this, you're not going to start out necessarily with 10 team members. But I will tell you, I didn't think I would either. When I opened up my practice in Granbury, Texas, 35 years ago after getting out of the service, I started with myself and a partner dentist and 3 team members. Within 1 year, we had 7 doctors and 26 team members in that business. Now, I will tell you, I didn't know how to I couldn't have run an ice cream cone stand, more or less run a $1 million business in 1984. So having done that, my overhead was ridiculous. I had to learn a whole lot of things. And I really had done none of these, none of the things that I'm showing you now. Rate your team members. You know, the number one mistake of managers is evaluate on attitude versus their behavior. You know, what you want is you want to align the desired actions of your team. You know, you want to celebrate when they treat people the right way. When you have an attitude issue, that's a whole different animal. So we rate each team member. And again, you'll be getting copies of this, the entire presentation. The name, example, Jessica Jones. Do they get it? Rate 1 to 3. Do they want it? Can they do it? Rate on values. And so do they get it? How their efforts align to the top 3 needs for that role that you've put out there? Do they want it? Do they have a desire to consistently produce these results? I've had people who were very inconsistent. I'd work with them. I'd say, well, we need the consistency. I can't be inconsistent about my work, and I need your work to be very consistent. Can they do it? Do they have a requisite knowledge to operate at the level that you want them to? You have some people that just don't get it. They can't get it. And that's when you invite them to go to their happy place. That's what I say when we're saying goodbye to a team member. And do their priorities align with your priorities for your practice? These are questions you're going to be asking. Prepare facts. You know, behavioral facts drive the best conversations. It's not about feelings. It's about what are the facts. And here's where you look at it. You have the stage 1, and I go through this entire process with each person. They're a helper learner. They're dependent. That's initial, you know. Then they start to contribute independently. Then, you know, with a coach and a mentor, they start to become a manager. And then at some point they become a leader in the practice. And every single employee in your practice, I want them to be a leader in whatever it is they're doing. And that's huge. So trust and appreciation goes through that entire process. Providing evidence. These are behaviors you observed. And these are the things that you'll see where they get it, they want it, they do it, and these are their values. And so for each number 1 rating in the prior exercise, you're going to provide at least one concrete behavioral example. So you're going to be specific. Preparing the dialogue. Simple steps lead to meaningful dialogue. Set the stage, get them excited about your vision of the future. This is critical. What I remember sitting down with my team in 1984, a few years ago, and discuss how the vision makes them feel about their work. I said, we want to have a model practice. This is what a model practice looks like to me. And I went through those things. And your team's going, awesome. Then align their roles, discuss their job roles, and how that role that they're going to be involved in is going to change their life and change your patient's life. And the top 3 objectives: reward successes, share successes. You know, where they score 3, give clear examples that align them to your vision and your mission and your values. Share opportunity. I want my team to be independent, and I want them to be powerful people in the practice, and I want them to take amazing care of the patients. And that's what I've always done. Wrap it up. Explain the rest of the process. Quarterly check-ins. We're going to be checking with you every quarter. I'm going to document things. And you can do this to yourself. When somebody said something, I call that a training opportunity. If they said something I didn't really like the way they said it, I'll just send a little email, or I put it in my notes pages that I really want to talk to Sabrina about this, or I really want to talk to Gay about that. And that helps me hold people accountable. Coaching to good choices. This is about helping them make good choices. It's like raising kids. For any of you that have kids, you ultimately have to make a choice about their choices. And this is interesting. And I'm assuming that many of you are in Gen Z. Okay. I'm a baby boomer. I'm way over here, post-war dictatorship and repression in Brazil, and what has to do with anything. Behavior is idealism, revolutionary collectivism, ideology. And we had vinyl records and watched movies. Gen Z, mobility and multiple realities. You guys can take information much quicker than we did. And social networks, you guys are the digital the digital world. You're going to be doing dentures. You're not going to be waxing them up like you just did in clinic. You're not going to be doing that. You're going to have software that's going to help you do it, and you're going to print them. Things are really changing. You guys are communaholics, meaning you communicate all the time. I've learned to do that. You're realistic. You have uniqueness and very ethical as a group. So the Z's search for truth. The Y's search for experience. The X's search for value. You guys are searching for the truth. And again, there's going to be a few of you that are in the Y's. So, but that just gives you an idea. The difficult conversations. There's a great book called Crucial Conversations. You have to, if you're going to have a crucial conversation, you have to make it in a safe environment. And always, when you're having to correct people, always listen first. 20% you talking, 80% listening. And it's about their behavior, not your behavior. So coach to action, and then do the follow-ups. But when people see you with integrity, to me, the word integrity is doing the right thing always. If a patient, if you're doing a crown and a buildup and you didn't do the buildup, and your team asks you, should I put down a buildup here? And I look at Gash and no, we didn't do a buildup. If I ever said, yeah, go ahead and put it down, then that is a break in my integrity. And that'll break down throughout your entire system. So set your goals, and then you have 3-month follow-up. So that is something that's a little off topic because you don't have a dental practice, but I want you to start to think that way. Okay. Now, setting goals. When you start talking about setting goals, this is Productive Dentist Academy. When we started looking at this, I knew, and when I first did my first course, it was how do I start to look at productivity per hour? People would say, I bet when you go to the bathroom how much money it costs you. And yeah, I probably did, but the truth is, I started to sit down and look. I had a close friend of mine. We were lecturing all over Canada. This is back in the mid 90s. And I started thinking about this productivity per hour. And I was doing about $600 an hour, which the average dentist in the USA today does $425 an hour. And I was doing about 600. I was working, running like a chicken with my head cut off. And I asked him, what does he do per hour? And he said, 820. And I was like, no way. Well, I was in a car. I'm driving to, I was actually driving from Springfield, Missouri, or Springfield, Illinois, up to Chicago to do a course. I had already done a course in Springfield. There were thunderstorms, so I had to drive instead of fly. And I had a practice analyst with me. And I said, how does Mark do $850 an hour? There's no way. I'm working as fast as I can. I'm quick. I don't, He said, well, it's real easy. He says, he only does $850 an hour procedures. And that blew me away. I was just like, seriously. And I started thinking, and that's what led to all of this, the setting goals and productivity per hour. What affects your productivity per hour and goal setting? You would think it's the efficiency of the scheduling, your work efficiency. How efficient are you in your work? Case presentation skills. Are you able to get patients to say yes to treatment? Your service mix. Do you just do buccal pits all day? Or are you throwing implants in? Or are you doing, what is it you're doing? What are your fees? People think, well, if you have low fees, you're going to have low productivity per hour. That's not necessarily true. Staff, teamwork, and training. Do you train your team, or are they all running around like you may be like a chicken with their head cut off? And marketing effectiveness. So let's look at that philosophy of productivity per hour. Determine exactly what you want to produce per hour, and then set your goals. So figure hours of a schedule. Most doctors out there are working a 4-day work week. That's 128 hours. And all you do is say, okay, if I have a goal of $100,000 a month, I'm going to divide that by 128, and that's $781 per hour. figure your own productivity. So as you get into dentistry and as you're starting to look at this stuff, you figure, okay, I'm doing 76,000. You go back and look. It's simple. You just divide it out. Schedule. This is what Russell told me when we were driving in the car. Schedule only procedures that are within your goal. Let's look at that. All procedures are productive. That's the secret. So if your goal is 900 an hour and you have a 3-surface composite fee of $200 and it takes you 30 minutes to do that, your productivity per hour is 400 an hour. I don't care what you do. This is a procedure that you're going to do 400 an hour, but you have a goal of 900. So how is that going to work? How am I going to do that? Well, you have a couple of choices. You could raise your fees to $450 per restoration. That's probably a little high. Or you could become more efficient and reduce from 30 minutes to 10 minutes. And that's probably a little quick. It takes me a good while to do a class 2. So there's a combination. Maybe the fees increase to 300, decreasing the time to 20 minutes, but guess what? That would make this procedure a $900 an hour procedure. Think this way, think differently, because no one's taught this in dental school, I can promise you. The third choice is don't do 3-surface composites. If you want to do 900 an hour, you're gonna have to find other procedures that fall into what your goals are. But I promise you, you still can do 3-surface composites and reach your goals. That makes it a $900, don't do them. Always do a comprehensive diagnostic evaluation. You know, when you're talking to patients, I talked about this in the spring, and I talk about it on my podcast a lot, is the communication skills, using risk factors and helping patients understand what their issues are. What I really would tell you is you want to be a consultant to the patient. You don't want to be the one who says, well, Bob, you need this, you need this, you need this, you need this. What I want the patient doing is asking questions like, why has no one else gone over this stuff with me like you're doing before? And that's where the diagnostic evaluation is huge. The question might be, well, what should my goal be? Well, what have you produced per hour in the past? Right now you're in dental school, so you're not there. You may go into the service, into the military. I would look and kind of guesstimate what these procedures would, and I would start to think about my productivity per hour, even if I was in the military. How much do I want to make this year? And how much do I need to pay my bills? These are things that we work with dental offices from the time they start setting up their QuickBooks account to find out exactly what their budget to actual is. And how much do you want to make? You know, first year, you want to make 150, you want to make 180, you want to make 200. Well, you can backfill this entire process and figure out exactly how many hours you have to work, what your production per hour is, and what it's going to take to get there. And how many hours do I want to work? Well, I'm going to work as many hours as I need to make whatever my goal is. And you also work with a coach. You know, I've set my goal. Now what? You got to set up an appropriate template to meet goals. You know, enter your goals in your software, enter your goals in your trackers. We recommend tracking, compare goals each month to your forecast. So you can see if you don't track things, usually they don't get better. And once you start tracking them, they get better. And evaluate every day. I always say it's inspect what you expect. You know, so if you know, I'm looking at my goals daily to see how I'm doing. And I can do a 2-day program just on this alone. I'm just trying to have you thinking about who's responsible. Everyone's responsible in the practice. My entire team knows what our goals are. My entire team knows that I'm committed to it. And that's the most important thing. And you can't be committed to something if you haven't helped and trained your team. But these training opportunities that I talked about, those happen every day. And if you can learn how to have those conversations with your team in a loving way where it's all about the mission, trust me, you're going to have the type of dental practice that will stand out in any community. And you'll have the kind of business that you've always dreamed of. You know, how much time does it take? You know, this is a time where you guys can ask questions if you'd like. I'm going to keep going down through here, but you know, how much time does it take for me to do this business part? Well, I can tell you, when I first opened my practice in Granbury, I worked 8 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock at night, 5 days a week plus Saturdays. That was on patients. Evenings, I was trying to figure the business out. So hopefully we can help you not get to that point where you're spending, 80 hours a week. You can have a successful dental practice. My last 15 years in practice, I worked 2 days a week and practiced and produced at a very, very high level. And those are all things that with coaches, you can be helped. You can certainly be helped there. Joshua asked a question. I'm going to go ahead and answer it. Do you give incentives to your employees for hitting production goals? Absolutely. As a matter of fact, we have 2 different types of goals in the practice. One is a production goal that's a daily production goal. We call that grab bag. And grab bag, we put poker chips in. And you would have, for example, $10 chips, maybe 20 of them, and I can get you the formula for that. 20 poker chips that are 10s, 10 that are 20s, and 5 that are 50s. And what happens is if we reach our goal for the day plus 20%, so if I had a goal of $5,000 and we did 6 that day, or 65, whatever it is, to get 20% more than that, 6, then everybody gets to reach in the bag and pull out a poker chip. Well, that's kind of cool. You get a 10, you get 20. That's on top of their regular daily salary. Now, the cool part is if they do it 2 days in a row, guess what? They get to reach in the next day and pull two chips out. Now, I will tell you the chance of reaching your goal plus 20% on the first day is X. The second day, it's probably 3X, meaning you got a 3 times better chance of reaching it the second day. The third day, if they're on what we call a streak, it's probably 7X. By Friday, you're going to reach that. I mean, they're going to be out there calling patients. They're going to be working hard because they want to pull 5 chips in. Now we end the streak and then start a new streak the next week. But as soon as you hit, they get that. The other type bonus we have is what I call, it's a collection-based bonus, which is what we call profitability incentive point. The profitability incentive point is when you're being paid in your own business like an associate. Let's just say that's 30% or 35%. In my practice, it was 35% of what I did collected. And every other bill I had. So you take all your bills, all your team payroll, every bill you have, and let's just say that number is 50,000. For every dollar above 50,000, first of all, you're getting paid in that 50,000, but everything above that 50,000, this team shares 20 cents on the dollar. So they're getting 20% of the upside growth of the business. We do that on a 3-month average. And the reason we do that is so that they don't stack the schedule. In other words, 1 month, it looks like they're not going to make it. And so then what they do is they start moving patients into next month. Why? Because they're stacking the schedule. So on a 3-month rotation, they can't do that. These are just little tips and tricks that help us. So hopefully that answered your question, Joshua. And any more questions, just fire them up there and I will go through with them. I am going to talk about CFI. It's financial technology for healthcare. This is something that allows patients to be able to get their dentistry done. And it's a company I started 10 years ago. But let's talk about the financial discussion that you have with a patient. For every 10 crowns diagnosed in the United States right now, this is according to Gordon Christensen, 9 out of 10 are done one at a time. I believe it's probably 95 out of 100 crowns are done one at a time. Why is that? The average cost of a crown, let's say it's $1,200, average out of pocket $600. But why are they done one at a time? Well, the dentist diagnoses 5 crowns. Let's say you diagnose 5 crowns. The patient says, and you're going to hear this to begin your career, you're going to hear this every single day. And you're going to hear it throughout your career. Will my insurance cover it? Team member, they'll cover a portion of your treatment. Your portion will be $3,500. And then what comes out of the patient's mouth? Can we just do one? Do you know why that is? Because they don't have the money. The average person in the U.S. only has $4,000 in their savings. Yet you're telling them they're going to use $3,500 of that up to do their crowns. Team member, because they don't like conflict. Oh, sure, I'll get you set up right away. And the dentist outside the room is going, yay, I get to do a crown. Why does it happen? Because they can't afford what you're offering. They just can't. Decade after decade, you guys aren't there yet, but they've always offered the same payment options. It's ridiculous. You know, it's an old way of thinking. Dentists are still being taught to offer the same payment options. And those are usually influenced by third-party financing, the Care Credits of the world, the Springstones, the Green Sky. You know, there's a bunch of all that is bank financing. When do banks want to loan you money? When you don't need it. You know, that's when they want to loan you money. These options are not in the best interest of the doctor or the patient. If I asked you if you needed 5 crowns done, how many appointments do you want to have it done in? 1? Yeah, just do them all. Get it over with. I don't want to come in 10 times. I want to do it in 1 visit. I want to use CAD/CAM, CEREC. Just get me done. Monthly payments offered by most dentists, they offer 0% deferred interest for 12 months. That's not really affordable monthly payments. That's offering people 0% interest if they have great credit. The truth is 63% of these people would have wrote you a check. Instead, you offered them 0% for 12 months. And by the way, you took 10% off of your price just so you could offer them 0%. Makes no sense, but that's what all dentists are doing out there. So how do I help patients move forward with all the crowns they need or all the dentistry they need? Here's how. You diagnose $5,000. Well, will my insurance cover it? They'll cover a portion of the treatment. Your portion will be $3,500. Patient says, can we just do 1? Sound familiar? Team member says, well, Bob, you could, but why don't we just use your insurance as a down payment? And we can work out convenient monthly payments as low as $85 a month. No problem. Oh yeah, Dr. Baird can give you a couple of pills and you can sleep and we can do all the work in 1 day. I will tell you, we've been doing this for 10 years. I've never had a patient turn that down. But as dentists, we say, why don't you come in every year? We'll use your insurance to the max. And by the way, by the 3rd year, the fillings no longer needs to be done because the tooth is split. Now it needs endo or it needs extraction, grafting, implant, and the price has gone up. So we're not doing anything. We're not helping those patients. So which would you rather have? These are 2 practices. Patient has $1,500 in insurance in both sides. They need $5,000 worth of work. You tell them their portion after insurance is $3,500. You tell them it's $35, but we have convenient monthly payments. They decide to only do what insurance will cover because they don't have the money. On this practice over here, practice B, they can get all their work done. You do their work in a single visit. You can offer sedation, which they almost always accept. You tell them you could do $3,000 work to maximize your insurance and their portion would be $1,500 and insurance is $1,500. Patient says, well, I just really can't do that right now. Okay, well, let's at least use your insurance. Your portion is going to be $750 and insurance is going to pay $750. Guess what? The insurance companies are cracking up about this, that dentists, because they get to keep the $750. But let's say when you get back and you're working and you start using this technique and this technology, and you have 50 patients in your first month back. The practice on the left is going to produce $1,500 per patient or $75,000. Of the practice on the right is going to produce $5,000 per patient or $250,000. Which one do you want to be? Yeah, Bruce, but over here they're going to owe me. What if they don't pay me? Okay, well, we'll talk about that. Patients also on this side had to come up with $37,500 in very difficult financial times. Patients on the right, they had to pay $0 out of pocket. Insurance paid $1,500, and then they've got convenient monthly payments on the rest. Insurance pays the $75,000. You have $175,000 worth of short duration, high yield paper paying you over the next 12 to 60 months with interest. When you think to yourself, what if they don't pay me? I want you to remember that interest offsets risk. That's why banks exist, because they charge interest. Be careful when you follow the masses. Sometimes the M is silent. I want you to think different. This is your opportunity to think different. We're in it for good, compassionate finance. You know, this is the company I told you we started 10 years ago. Well, I'll go through it. The most innovative payment solution that makes dental and healthcare affordable. We have thousands of dentists in the country that have done it. We're closing out on over $300 million in notes for patients. for dentists, and it's your paper. It's not our paper. You own that paper. What paper is, debt paper, is when somebody owes you money and they've had to sign a contract with interest associated with it. Every state has different rules and regs. Everybody, the same question, what if they don't pay me? What you have to understand is we know that the E patient, or the worst credit patient, is the one, worst credit, below 550 credit score. We don't just look at credit scores, we also look at their checking history. Most people pay on time in America, 95%. Unfortunately, there's 5% they're going to hose you. But here's the deal. If you had an E patient, what are the chances of a default? 20%, 17 to 20%. You go, oh my gosh, I'd never want to do an E. But that means you have 80% paying you for 60 months at 17.9% interest. Put that in your financial calculator and figure out what you're making. You're making more than your usual and customary fee without reducing your fees, without saying, I'm going to give you a 30% discount by signing up for PPOs. Yeah, you don't need to. When you have these kind of financial options, you do not need to sign up for those. Now, I'm not going to say don't, because at first you need cash flow and you need people. That's fine. But we'll set up a strategy for you to get out of that within the first 4 years so that you could become a fee-for-service practice and charge whatever you want, whenever you want. Benefits of doing good while doing good. I can totally fund my retirement plan. You can pay off all your student loans without affecting any of your take-home pay. This is by helping people that need help. We call it doing good while doing good. Take my family on a 2-week vacation paid for out of my other business. We tell you to set up your own finance business. So how do I do that? Assuming a 20%, let's say you finance $25,000 a month of patients. At the end of 12 months, you have monthly payments coming in of $5,500, $5,600. If you continue to do that, and you'd have a portfolio of paper of $230,000, this wouldn't be July of 21, it would be December. It'd be a year after you started. At the end of 60 months, you literally would have monthly payments coming in of $28,000 a month. Now, trust me, we had a lot of people during COVID that had to close their practices. They had money coming in every single month on work they did 3 years ago. Portfolio, you have a $1.1 million portfolio in 5 years. Now, most dentists work 50, 40 years and try to sell their practice for $500,000. And if they think they, hit the mother load, I can show you ways that you can create wealth that you've never been able to create before. And right now you have debt, but imagine being able to pay off student loans with that kind of revenue coming in monthly. And this is by doing dentistry. At a 35% discount on the worst risk patients, you'll be able to sell your paper if you desired after 5 years for $750,000 in cash if you wanted. That's discounted. But you could also just keep getting monthly payments. At 4% return at the end of 20 years, you're going to have over $10 million in the bank. Not bad money. They say you can't get rich in dentistry. I dispute that. You just have to be smart. You just have to listen to the right people. What's your risk? You're not putting up money. You're not putting up money. Your hard costs are covered. I always tell you to get 20% down, cover the hard costs, meaning the cost of supplies, the implant cost, the material cost. And then it's totally based on the value of your time. Would you rather have your time value? Would you rather be doing that $5,000 a whack in an hour and a half or 2 hours, or $750? Do you want your production per hour to be the national average 425, or you want it to be 1,500? Well, I'd rather see it at 1,500, and then I'm not really worried. The face of compassionate finance. These are the kind of patients we're able to help. She couldn't have afforded it. We did immediate dentures on her. Full mouth rehabs. These are the kind of people we help on an ongoing basis. What you can expect from compassionate finance, you can help more patients by making care budget friendly for everyone. Perform more comprehensive dentistry in single appointments. Single appointments mean you're much more efficient. Generate more revenue monthly payments with interest. Industry-leading cloud technology for evaluating risk and loan performance. Again, we don't just look at the loans, we also look at their checking history. Best-in-class training and customer support. We've grown this company into a multi-million-dollar company in 10 years by helping patients and helping docs create more revenue and get more dentistry done. Our experts manage every aspect of your loan contracts. You're not making phone calls to try to collect it. That's what we do. Simple form. This doesn't mean much to you guys at this point, but patient gets to pick their monthly payment. They may say, well, I think I could do $225 a month. I said, well, why don't we make it easy? Why don't we just do 145? Because I don't care. Because you know what? If they do the 145, they have a better chance of paying me. Plus, I make more interest over the life of that loan. It's a retail installment contract. They sign it at the bottom. It has interest associated with it. As money is collected and deposited in your bank account, you're able to pull report statements with the breakdown. Every patient, how much they've paid you, and what you've paid Compassionate Finance. Basically, you can figure you're going to pay Compassionate Finance for doing all this. You're going to pay them about 6 to 7% of the interest. So, and on some cases it's less, on some cases it's a little more. You have a collection success rates, portfolio earnings. This is all stuff that you can look at. The active monthly payments, how much is coming in, your new loans you've done this year. Everything is handled for you. You provide, you do the work, and we pull it ACH every month automatically out of their deal. It's direct deposit in your bank account. We provide all the customer service. And if there's a problem, we initiate collections. This is Granbury Dental Center, my office. This is a little old, but the average, we did one patient a month, not a jillion. 5.6 thousand was the average contract, 41 months at an average 17% interest, getting in 12,000 a month, and the average credit score was 586. Now, by doing this, we were collecting 103% of what we did because interest helped us. Our performance speaks for itself. 170 million in plans managed. That's current. We're closing out 300 million total over the last 10 years. 84% of the patients are subprime, and 87% of the patients paid off their plan. So that's what we've got. And that is the end of my presentation. And let's do this. Let's pull it back up. Stephen, do we have any questions or anything? Or Braden, anybody that you got?
Haven't had a new one come in, but now's the time if you want to go over that Q&A tab and type something in there. This is like getting to take a business class from Elon Musk or Gary Vaynerchuk. I mean, the knowledge you guys are getting from Dr. Baird and the experience is like amazing. So well, do try to take advantage if
I see Isaac has put in, what do you think about membership plans? And I used to be kind of like, why would I do a membership plan? But that's really not true, because when I came to Granbury in 1984, I did a membership plan. I went out to the nuclear power plant and I said, hey, I gave them, they didn't pay, I gave 20% off cards and they signed up, and it just signed up an entire group of employees. And I said, yes, I'm here and I'm available. And I did a membership plan later on in probably the mid 90s. Today, it's much better. And I do think a combination of a couple of things that you can do, membership plans, there are some really good ones out there. Clear works with us at Productive Dentist Academy. And I like Dave Monahan, he's their CEO, got great software, and they do a really nice job. I think what it does is just what Compassionate Finance does. It helps pandemic-proof your practice. It helps, recession-proof your practice, because you have monthly dollars coming in. And these are coming in on a regular basis. So you've got money off your finance company, money off your membership plan, and obviously money in your regular dental practice. So I'm not opposed to it at all. I think, it's been shown that patients tend to do more dentistry when they have a membership plan than if they don't. So that's a plus. And if you throw in Compassionate Finance with it, that's why, we're so closely aligned with them. Then you're really helping yourself from a business perspective and from a continuity basis on what your revenues are going to be. So that's awesome.
We did have a question kind of coming here in the chat. I'm not sure the answer to this one. Is Compassionate Finance something that a patient could utilize a dental school?
That's a great question. It'd be up to the dental school. I mean, I'm sure we could work out something with the school for sure. You know, Josh Newman, do you encourage immediate payment over the patient financing, or would you rather get the interest by having them finance? I'll take the cash first. You know, if somebody wants to pay me cash, but here's the deal. What I don't want to do is give up 10% of my fees. You know, I don't want to just do care credit, give up 10%, because I know 63% of those people would have paid me cash. So I offer a 3 to 4% discount for cash, and I'll take that. And I don't want to take a 10% discount. But anybody that needs monthly payments, patient financing is definitely the way to go. I mean, because now you're reaping the interest, and the truth is, the financing companies out there, they're going to approve 40% of your patients, maybe for the full treatment, and probably not even that much. Whereas using something like compassionate finance, you can get you can approve 90% of your patients and not worry about it, and really not worry about it. So,
and like we talk about, Dr. Baird, this is a familiar way that they're used to paying for so many things in their life: cell phone, car, payment plan. They're not interested in the interest; they're interested in that monthly payment. So when you're out of school, you want to have a tool for all the different situations in your tool belt, right? So having a compassionate finance, having a care credit, and having other policies, how you take cash in your office, it's going to help you hit those production numbers that you set for yourself.
yeah. Well, one of the good things is you know, we're recording this. So if you have any other questions or anything else, or you can send those questions to Stephen, and I'll personally answer them. Any CE, oh, I love that. Any clinical CE you'd recommend for a new grad? Yeah, there is. And it's not inexpensive, but it's something that would get you way ahead of the game. And it would be well worth it. If you're opening up a practice, borrow some money to get the CE, but I would go through John Coyce's programs at the Coyce Center. The Spear Center down in Scottsdale is also good. I love John Coyce. He and I have been friends for a long time. He's the smartest dentist I know. He's amazing. And clinically, when you get through his programs, he's booked full. But that would be my goal, would be to get through his programs. Take your stuff at the school, take your other little programs, but get in a continuum with John Coyce, and you can't go wrong. Our docs, through PDA, we did actually a program in John's office up there for our PDA docs. Their productivity per hour skyrocketed. But more importantly than just productivity per hour, their clinical excellence and their clinical skills he just gives you so much confidence in what you're doing and the reasons why you do what you do. It would be like having in a series of 7 or 8 3-day courses of learning 10 times what you've learned in dental school. And that it'll blow your mind. It'll blow your mind. How do you get your business to a place where you can choose not to do 2 surface composites? Great question, Joshua. The interesting thing is, you're going to have those choices, over a period of time. You may decide all of a sudden you love implant dentistry and that's all you want to do. I have buddies of mine that's all they did. And I've done probably over 15,000 dental implants. And so they just kind of go, oh, that's all I want to do. And the truth is, you're probably not going to do that. And so by setting up productivity per hour and looking at your schedule and templating your schedule, when you template that schedule, what's really nice is, I'm going to use an example of scheduling based on productivity, not time. When you schedule based on productivity and you have a goal of 500 an hour and you have a procedure that is $1,500, I'm going to say a crown and a buildup, and you book 3 hours for that. But why would you book 3 hours for something that you know you could do in an hour and a half? Because you're scheduling based on productivity. So now what you've done is you've set your goal of 1,500 or 500 an hour. You filled your schedule for that period of time. Now, off to the side, that's where you do your 2 surface composites when you want to. It can be a $300 an hour, $400 an hour, $500 an hour procedure that's maybe off to the side of what it is. That I do a whole program, and I talk about it on my podcast, Productive Dentist Podcast. So you can go and look at scheduling based on productivity. It's a 15-minute podcast that I do them every week. And we also do the ones that go with Stephen and CFI. We do those, which is Outstanding Balance. And those are on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. But yeah, I think you'll have a lot more information when you hear that. Me just talking about it, it's a little tougher, but hopefully it helped. Any other questions we have? Good. All great questions.
Oh yeah, I'm kind of winding them up here. So I'll put the YouTube link in there, link to Dr. Baird's podcast, a recording of this video. Dr. Baird, I'll probably send over those Get Off the Dental roller coaster articles you wrote for dental economics in there. Those are legendary. And we'll just give you a bunch of resources over to you with the follow-up for this webinar.
And whatever I can do to help you guys, man. I was a student once. It's hard to believe, as old as I am, but I was a student, and there just weren't a lot of places you could go get business stuff, and we're here for you. You can send me personal questions, Bruce@productivedentist.com. You can send stuff to Stephen, and he's giving you his contact info. And we're here to help you. And hopefully I can come back and do a live program when this COVID stuff's over with, Braden.
Absolutely. We'd love to have you back as soon as we can, probably in the spring here. And I've actually got one more question for you.
Okay.
You said that you took a minute to kind of find your managerial style and kind of your leadership skills and the way that you wanted to run your practice. How did you develop those skills, and how might a dental student who's not exactly leading a practice right now start to develop those?
It's a great question. I read a lot. I love reading business books. What I do is I take a business book and then I equate it to dentistry. You go from good to great, from the wow factor, Tom Peters, you go to Crucial Conversations. Another great book would be The E-Myth. The E-Myth is a great book that really is kind of like shows you how to not just set up one practice, but to set up 10, even though you may only want to set up one, but it has to be repeatable. Everything has to be repeatable. So I read a lot, but even then, and I was in the military, and I really learned leadership there, got out, had the pressure of being a practice owner, and forgot everything. I literally became the worst boss you could be because I was so concerned with my business, and it made me not a good person to work for because, I was just overwhelmed with the business. I didn't understand it. And then when I finally learned it, so what I would say is start to read business books and communication books, communication skills books, read those. I know you're busy at school, but pick one book every couple months to read, or get the Cliff Notes version, or get the, whatever it is, the summaries, get those and then read those, because all of that you're going to take with you. Then when it comes time, and you're going to have a much better understanding of what it is you want to do. Leadership is really not about, it's about being on the top of your game and having integrity, that your team knows that you have so much integrity that they want to be there with you, and that you're never going to take advantage of a patient financially. You're always going to do the right thing. And when you start doing that, your team really kind of melt around you. And you'll learn, you'll learn. At first, it's not going to be easy. And what I could tell everybody is the first thing you want to do is set your business up like a business. Now, out of over 1,000 dentists that have been through PDA, Productive Dentist Academy, we only had 4 that had a budget. 4 out of 1,000. Now, what I would tell you, and they're frustrated and they run behind all day, and you can't be a good leader when you're that. So let somebody help you set your business up like a business. It's not that costly. It's not that hard. But if you begin that way, then your stress levels are going to go down, and you're going to be much more open to new ideas, new techniques, new stuff, because you're not worried about your business. You know what you have to spend. You know what you don't have to spend. For me, I thought I'd get something from the CPA saying I had a good month, and I'd go to the meetings and I'd buy stuff because I had a good month. And I had no idea what kind of money I had. It was just up and down. That's that roller coaster articles that I wrote for dental economics, like up and down, up and down. So I'm depressed one month, happy the next month, depressed the next month. Now let's don't do that. Let's get you set up so that you're just right down the line. You understand your business. Everything's budget to actual. You can look at it. You're not spending money you don't want to spend. Then you're going to be a great leader because you're not going to have the stress of a business that, I don't care who you are, no one around you is going to care about your business more than you do. You know, they just won't, until you become such a leader that even when you're not there, they're following through with the mission, the values and the goals that you've set. They just do it because it becomes physiologic to them. It becomes just the way they work. And that can happen. That won't happen in the first 5 years, maybe in the first 10, but you don't have to wait 30 years for it to happen either. And so it can be done. But great question.
That's awesome. Thank you very much. That was great.
Any more, Stephen, or we'll call it a night?
I think we are in the clear, but some people are shy during the live one, but I'm sure I'll get a few emails back, and I will get those over to you, Dr. Baird, and we'll get those answered.
Okay, and we will do maybe we'll do a podcast on the questions. So you get your buddies and you just ask the questions. I'll do a Monday podcast that you can listen to anytime on those questions. That would be a good way of doing it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
All right, guys. Thanks for being on. I really appreciate everybody's time. And again, if there's any way that we can help you, that's what we're here for. And thanks,
Thank you very much for speaking to us. We all enjoyed it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. You know that. So, all right.
Yes, sir.
Talk to you soon.
Adios.